Well. I'm back, guys. I know it's been a minute since you've last seen me or heard me talk about the show, but we're here and we're doing it. So, first, I want to thank you for tuning into the Maya J podcast. Yes, podcast. That means I was able to figure it out and we're doing it. And I want to welcome back all the people who have been following me on this journey. And hello to all the newcomers. I hope you stick around. So let me explain first. I know that I first started this off by saying the Maya J Show. When I first came out with this whole concept and announcement, I said the Maya J Show. And now you've noticed that I've changed it to the Maya J Podcast. Well, the end goal is to have the Maya J Show. Hopefully, if the universe still loves me, they will make that happen. But I did want to, when I first thought about how this would transition, I thought, oh, podcast, then leading up to a show, or it could be a podcast show. But let me explain. So I first didn't do it as a podcast because I didn't know how to get that whole thing started. Because when I see podcasts, it's this big set, there's a team, there's all these mics, there's all these cameras. And I was just thinking, I don't have a team, nor do I have all these mics, nor do I have a space. And I don't have like the finances like that to provide all of it. So I just got a little scared. And then I didn't know how they put it up on these streaming platforms. And I know that all takes a little bit of research, but I was working full time. And, when you're working those days off, you want to take that time to just rest. And for me, with the job that I had, it was just a lot going on that on my days off, I just wanted to rest. And although I tried to kind of see like what it would take, it really just stressed me out. So I just thought, you know what, let me just do the show concept without all the equipment. I could just rent a space. I know somebody who can film it. Let's just do it like that. And let's see if we can keep the ball rolling like that. But after I came out with my first episode, people were saying, oh my gosh, you should totally have a podcast. I think you would do well. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I was thinking about that, but I just didn't want to explain all of it. So I was just saying, oh yeah, you're right, I should. So now that I have the time, because I went through a little transition, so I'll explain why there was such a delay from the last episode to now. But now that I have the time and I did the research, I'm able to do this. So I'm really happy, really, really, really happy about that. Now, the whole reason why I haven't been so consistent. So I was living in LA, and that was for what, about 3.5 years? I don't know. That whole time is a blur, especially when you add the pandemic into it. I just don't know, but I want to say about 3.5 years I was living in LA. And then if you've seen my first episode, you know that I was diagnosed with cancer. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. We're both cancer free now. Thank the Lord. But that is what was going on. And so it really just flipped the script for me and made me realize I just need to be home. It was so hard. Her going through it and me going through it at the same time was difficult enough, but when you're on opposite sides of the country, that just changes the game. So the time zone difference, like trying to communicate was hard, and then trying to visit. Flights are expensive, and I like to fly Delta, so we already know how that goes. So it was just a lot, and then I was working too. There was a time where I did take a break because it was getting real difficult, but it was just really hard. And my mom was working too. We're just workaholics, but that's I don't need to go down that road any further. We're workaholics. So every everything was just going on, and it made it so difficult. And I just knew that if anything happened, like if this came back again, hopefully it does not, but if it were to come back, like for her or for myself, I would want to be home. And I'm not going to lie, although I liked living out in LA, I was really getting homesick, especially around the holidays. I would go to Georgia for Christmas, but for Thanksgiving, I would stay in LA, and just seeing everybody at home with their families, it was really hard. And then feeling alone because I was going through chemo and all of that was really difficult. I have two younger brothers who are they still have some time, but they're getting into that next chapter of moving on to college, and I really just wanted to be there. So everything just circled around my family, and I just knew that I needed to be home. So moving, you know how that is. I mean, trying to pack and get everything situated, you just need that time to just get structured and get organized. And I was doing a road trip. I didn't fly back. I actually drove from LA to Georgia with my best friend, which was amazing because I love road trips. But we had to drive, so that took a couple of days. So it was just a lot going on. So I do apologize. I'm so sorry that it took so long because I really want this thing to grow. But I really hope that you guys can bear with me because yeah, I'm just a one-woman band, okay? Now, for the first episode, I did have a team. My friend Malik, he helped me with all of that. But, you got to pay people too. And I totally respect that because everyone's talented and they deserve what they deserve. But I just knew, as consistent as I wanted this to be and knowing that I don't have the financial resources to really just keep doing that, I had to really figure things out. And so now here we are. So that explains everything. And now that I have the space and I have the time, I can be more consistent. But like I said, please bear with me as I'm figuring this all out. Hopefully one day I'll have a team and I could just come in and everything will be like set. Like even today, working the camera and all of that, like I'm just doing it all by myself. But this space was really helpful. So yeah, that's that. Now, what I really want to get into today is just being open and honest with you guys, because when I was thinking about this first episode, I was thinking about, okay, what am I going to talk about? Because although I want to interview people and I want to bring on guests, which you'll see, I'll be bringing on friends and just people that from all walks of life, but just people that I find interesting and I feel should share their story, or we should have a conversation and just share it with the world and for people to relate or whatever. But for the first episode, I just wanted to kind of reset and just allow me to reintroduce myself and just be a little vulnerable, which is very hard for me to do because I am a Capricorn. And if you are a Capricorn, then you know how that is, just sharing. And I don't know, it goes beyond zodiacs. This could be with anybody, but it can be really awkward being so open and honest, especially when you know you're about to share this on social media, because it's one thing to talk to your friends and your family about what you're going through, but to talk online about what you're going through and not knowing what response you're going to get is really, really scary. But I just knew that I've been so low key for a minute now, because there was a time where I was sharing everything, sharing. And then I just went through this period. I think really it was maybe 25 to now, where I was just going through a lot of personal matters, and I kind of shut down and isolated. And now that I'm coming back up and I'm feeling more alive and more in a better spirit, I really want to talk about those things that I struggle with and did struggle with. And I hope that when you guys watch this, you can relate to it and we can just get this conversation going. with the hopes that we can just be more vulnerable off and online. So, my struggle is that I can be my own worst critic. And it's so annoying because there are so many things I want to accomplish in life, but yet I always feel like I can't do it. I don't know what it is. It's just this angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. There's one side of me that's like, you can do it, Maya. Just believe in yourself. You could do it. And then there's one little annoying devil side of me that's just like, no, you can't do it. You can't. Because what if that? And what if that? And it just starts spiraling. And then I get to this point where I'm just like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just so stuck in that mindset that I don't end up doing it. And I waste so much time. And in my 20s, because now I'm 30, I just turned 30 this year. Woo woo. I was so excited, by the way. But looking back at my 20s, especially that time, the 25 to 29, I just think about how I feel like I wasted time because of that. Although I did a lot of cool stuff in my 20s that I don't regret, I do feel like I could have done so much more if I wasn't in my head. And I really hope, and sorry, because I might sniffle a little bit because I'm a little under the weather. In Georgia, there's just so much going on as far as the weather. It never wants to make its mind up. 1 minute it's cold, 1 minute it's hot. So I hope you like a little ASMR. But yeah, I just feel like I could have done so much more. And although I should be easy on myself, I feel like if I didn't overthink so much and self-doubt, self-sabotage, where would this be now? It probably would have been growing. But you know what? We can't think about that because we're doing it now and that's all that matters. But I want to have that conversation with you guys because I know that there are people out there who are like that. And I hope that this conversation does help and makes you realize that it's really just us being our own worst critic. So in my 20s, I didn't know exactly. I knew that I wanted to always have a show, but then when you go into your 20s, you start thinking about other things. And I started off being an influencer marketing manager, and that was cool. But I realized it wasn't what I wanted. But I thought, hey, I'm good at it, so let me just do that and see where it goes. And obviously, I realized I wasn't happy in it and it didn't work out. And so I felt like, oh man, there I go. I wasted some time that I could have been focusing on myself, but whatever, here we go. We're going to do it again. And so I took some time off from that. And when I got into that period of just being like, okay, what next? I got into this really deep depression because I felt so alone and I didn't have the confidence that I wish I would have had that I'm starting to have now. Back in my 20s, I wish I had that confidence back then, and I don't know why I didn't have it, but I think a lot of it has to do with the internet. Because when you growing up in this era where you're online and you're seeing everyone accomplishing all of these things, you start feeling like, why am I not doing enough? And I was doing a lot because when I was doing the management, there were people telling me like, oh my God, you're killing it. But at the same time, I felt like, but I don't feel like I am, because I think it was just initially wasn't what I wanted to do. But nevertheless, after that period, I really just felt so down on myself and I didn't know how I was going to pick up. And during that time, I really had to sit still. And stillness can be it can be very scary, but also helpful. When I sat still, and it wasn't literally still, like I was working all of that, but I wasn't doing anything creative. And it was really just because I didn't believe I could. Even though I knew that I had the experience because I've done a radio show before with a former friend, but you know, I went to school for journalism. I had all of it. I feel like I can be personable, and people tell me you're such a great speaker. Like you speak so well. I still felt like I don't know. I don't think I can do it, and so I just felt like I don't know if I ever will. And that period of 25 to 29 was me just really sitting within myself and figuring out who am I, what do I want to become? What do I want to do with myself? And so I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling right now, but I just feel that a lot of it was because I was just really in my head. And I know that there's people out there that are like that. I don't know why I always had self doubt. I think a lot of it just came from, feeling like I wasn't pretty enough because being on social media, you have to look a certain way, apparently, for people to like you. Or, I didn't have a lot of followers, so who's going to listen? And just stuff like that. And I'm just, it took me going through my cancer and sitting in that stillness to realize, just really looking at everybody in their lives and just thinking like, we're all just human, man. Like everyone's really just trying to figure it out. Like, I don't know why I'm taking this so serious. I need to stop being so hard on myself because I was really trying to be so perfect in an imperfect world, And do you feel like that? I feel like we spend so much time trying to make sure nobody sees our mistakes that we just miss out on this connection, I'm really hoping that me talking about that will spark this connection with other folks who can relate, and that hopefully, I can build this little community of people who feel the way that I feel. And so this is why I'm really trying to do the show, because I really want to show myself that I can, and that I need to just realize that everything is going to be okay. And now that I'm back home, especially, I think that's what I really needed, because I think you really do need a great support system behind you to get out of your head. I have a really great, friend group, and I have a really great family who keep reminding me that you can do it, Maya. And so that's what I'm just trying to move forward in life with. It's just realizing that I need to stop being my own worst critic and just believe that I can do it. And I know that it's not going to be perfect. And I know that I'm bound to make mistakes, but it's okay. It's really going to be okay, because there were times where I didn't know if I want to really continue on with life, to really be honest. I really got in some dark times, and especially when I got hit with the cancer, I was like, ugh, this too, And so I think the universe was just trying to tell me that sometimes you just need to sit still and get to know yourself, and not what you think people should view of you, because that's another thing. I'm always thinking about what people will think of me, like what will they say if I don't say it right and stuff like that. But I think after everything that I went through up until now, it was all just clarity of it. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. People don't really care like that, And I think now that people are being a little bit more authentic, I can't even say the word authentic in life, people are really accepting that, Like now we have body positivity and people talking about mental health, and that's really refreshing, because during that time I just felt I couldn't do it because I felt I was going to be judged. And so now I'm stepping into this journey of just taking each step. Just keep moving forward. No matter what happens, just keep moving and keep believing in yourself and to get out of your head. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I know that this may be a short episode, or because I know that podcasts really last for an hour, over an hour. And that will happen when I invite more guests. But I really wanted to just be honest with you guys about that and why things have been so inconsistent with what I've been trying to do is because I've always just been in my head, and it's just something that I've always struggled with. And I'm hoping that with me putting myself out there, that it will allow me to see that I can achieve it. And for those out there who feel the same way, I want you to know that you can do it. You know you better than anyone else, and you know what you can bring to the table. So just bring it, and don't think about all that other stuff. That all that is background noise. It's just, for me, I'm very spiritual, so I just believe that it's like the devil just trying to get to you. It's just that negative energy just trying to get a hold of you, and don't let it. And just try to be fearless. Just do it, because you never know what that may lead to. And with this, I don't know, like, hopefully it'll lead to that big goal that I see in my head. But all I can do is just keep moving, take each step. And so before I leave, I do have a quote that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think that's what I want to keep doing. Like, I think every episode I want to end it off with a little quote. So let's see. This is what I found, and I believe this is how you pronounce their name, Brene Brown. But owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy. The experiences that make us the most vulnerable, only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover that infinite power of our light. And that's really what we need to do, is just be brave enough to explore the issues, face the issue, face the darkness. And that's when we'll discover, that it really isn't all that bad, and that you really can be happy and content with yourself. And so that's what I'm just trying to learn. And I hope that as I grow in my 30s, that is what I will, realize. And I'm getting there, but it's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress, but I just have to be honest and really tell you guys. So moving forward, I'm just going to try my best to keep this thing going. I'm trying to figure out, like, how often. I really want to do this bi-weekly, like every other week. I want to have something out there, but I just want to keep it going. But I know it's just not going to be perfect in the beginning. So if you've made it to the end, thank you so much. And thank you for all the people who have always been so supportive of me and have always believed in me. That is really helpful. And it's really needed with people like me, because we really can cloud our thoughts with all that negative stuff. So thank you guys so much for just being so supportive of me doing this. And I just can't wait to see how this grows. On the next episode, I want to bring my best friend, Dane, on here so we can talk about some stuff. And that's going to be really exciting, because I show him a lot on Instagram, and we don't really do any videos or anything, so you guys don't really see our dynamic. So it'll be fun bringing him on here. But yeah, I'm going to bring him and some other guests, and I just can't wait to see how this goes. So thank you what was that? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Maya J podcast. As you know, I am your host, Maya J. And until next time, goodbye.